Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Chef Tony, and today we are going to be making an herb roasted pot roast. This is an old Bouquot family favorite, and it's one from one of our favorite cookbooks, Betty Crocker Cookbook. They have several different versions of this recipe in there, and the one that we like to do is an herb roasted version. The pot roast recipe in the book calls for a 4-pound roast to start with. We have our roast here, which is actually a 2.5 pound. It's what they had available at the local store. And actually 2.5 pound is about twice as much as we will eat here, because there's 4 of us, so I'm actually going to do half of this one. This particular roast, this cut, is a London broil, sometimes called a top round roast, which is a nice cut for doing a pot roast with. So the first thing I have to do is trim this guy in half before we start browning it for cooking. Of course, my hands are nice and clean before I started here. And there we go. So I'll wrap up the other half of this guy, put it in the freezer, and save it for another time. Next thing we have to do is to brown it on the stove. Come on over. Got some extra virgin olive oil that we're going to use to brown our pot roast in. So I'm just going to put about a teaspoon-ish. I just eyeball it here, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. Put that aside. I'm going to bring over that half of roast that I cut just a minute ago. So there she be. And I have my pan on about medium heat, and I'm going to go ahead and set her down right inside of there. And we'll just brown it. It'll take a couple of minutes. I'll flip it as I brown each side, and once the whole thing is brown, then it's ready to add the rest of the ingredients. So I have my oven preheating at 325 while my meat's browning over there. We're going to put it in after we're done browning it, seasoning it. We'll put it in and it'll cook in the oven for about 2.5 hours. So we're almost done browning the meat here. I have one last side you can see that's still unbrowned. The rest of it's nice and browned up. We'll flip that over, and it'll be done browning in about another minute. All right, our meat is now done browning, our roast is, and so we're now ready to add our spices, herbs and spices to it. So we have, this is an herb pot roast, so there's a collection of seasonings we're going to add to it. We have some marjoram, we have some oregano, we have some thyme, of course salt and pepper. We'll add some garlic. You can use fresh, in this case we're using crushed, minced, and then some beef broth. So all that will be used to season our pot roast, and then once we get that in, you can see our friends the vegetables are over here. They're in waiting for me to chop them up and add them in later on in the recipe. All right, so I'm mixing up all the herbs and spices here. That's the last of them. And we'll have the full recipe and the instructions, but I've added all these items in with half a cup of the beef broth. I'm going to stir it up just to get it nice and mixed up with a fork. And then we'll just pour it right over the top of the beef here. See the garlic sitting right on top of that guy. Doesn't that look good? All right, and we want to make sure we get all the herbs and spices out of that measuring cup there, so I'm going to use a spatula here and get all that goodness out of there. Spread it around on our pot roast there. Now we cover it up with some aluminum foil, and it'll be all set to go into the oven. Over here now preheated to 325, and I'm going to put this in for about 2.5 hours. We'll keep an eye on it as it cooks. All right, so now we're ready to cut up our vegetables while our pot roast is in cooking, so they're ready to go when the time comes to put them in. So we'll start with the ones we need to clean off, which are going to be our 4 potatoes and our 3 stalks of celery. So we want to scrub them really good. Carolyn always likes us to use this nice scrubbing cloth, where did this come from, Carolyn?
Norwick's.
Norwick's, yep. So it's good for scrubbing of vegetables, so we'll go ahead and get these guys nice and clean. I'm going to run some water over them, rub them with my hands, and then grab my scrubbing cloth and really give them a good clean. Move on to our celery. Some people don't think to clean their celery off, but it needs to be cleaned just as much as everything else. So we use that scrubbing cloth and clean it real good. So now that my potatoes are nice and clean, I need to peel them and get them ready to cut them up. All right, we're back over here at our cutting board now that our vegetables are nice and clean. You'll notice I've switched out to a new cutting board. This one just for the vegetables. Got rid of the one that we cut the meat on. We don't want any cross-contamination. And I've cleaned my knife up nice and clean, again, to eliminate any cross-contamination. So we'll start with our potatoes. And we're just going to chop them up into some cubes, no particular size. Whatever you like is how you should cut them. That's about the size that I like right there. And we'll cut all those up about that same size and put them in our bowl. Next, we'll move on to our 3 stalks of celery. Cut off the ends. And again, the size isn't important. It's whatever size you like. That's about the size that I cut them in. For the carrots, we're going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to use some baby carrots, which means no cutting, no peeling. The recipe calls for 4 medium-sized carrots, so we're going to figure maybe about 10 of the baby carrots, and we'll just add them straight on in. And last up on our vegetable parade is our onions. So we have 2 onions, which I'm going to chop up into fairly big chunks. So first thing we have to do is peel these guys, cut off the ends here. And then I just kind of do a slice across there, pull off the outer shell, pull it to the side, and now I have a nice big usable piece of onion. And I can chop it up into some good sized chunks, about like that, and we'll put them on in. All right, through the magic of film, it's now 2 hours later, and we're ready to pull our pot roast out of the oven and add our vegetables and cook it a bit longer. So let me grab it. We can take off our foil and reveal all that beautiful steam. We've been enjoying the last 2 hours of this guy cooking, the wonderful smells, especially that garlic just permeating the air throughout the house. It's delicious. So at this point now we're going to add in our vegetables. So we have all the stuff we cut up earlier, our carrots, our potatoes, celery, our onion, all in here. We'll just add them all around. Our meat. Then we're going to add some more of the beef broth in. Pour it all around. And then a little Bouquot family secret, one of these little mini cans of the V8 juice to add some extra vegetables and some juiciness to it. So give that a good shake. Pop that sucker open. And pour it all around. Now it's ready to pop back in the oven again. We'll cover it up. Cook it for about another 45 minutes. Same temperature, 325. All right, our pot roast is ready. Let's give it a look. See what's been smelling so good all afternoon. Beautiful. Beautiful piece of meat there, all kinds of great veggies around it. It's a meal all in itself. We're going to do some rolls and some salad to go along with it. So really looking forward to eating this one.